Welcome to Crochet Social. This is another video with basic stitches. So for this video I am doing a single crochet, which is the American term, or if you're using the English terms, if you prefer those, it is a double crochet. Now this is where things get complicated because there is a double crochet in American terms, but in this case the English term for this is a double crochet. For the American term, it is a single crochet. Single crochet is not in any English terminology. So if you have a pattern and you're not too sure what it is, and you see a single crochet, you know it's going to be American. So this is the stitch. Let's get started. So as you can see here, this is my little sample, 15 stitches to show you how to do it. And we start off with our slip knot. We have our chain of 15, we have a turning chain of 1, and then we work into our stitches. And if this is the first video you've seen, my basic stitches videos will start very slowly from the beginning, how to hold the yarn, how to hold the hook, and how to make a slip knot and a chain. So we start very, very slowly. So let's get out my yarn that I'm using today. I'm using this very lovely pink. I like to use a chunky yarn to teach. And there's 101 different ways to make a slip knot. I showed you one way in my in a previous video. I'm going to show you another way in this video, just to prove to you that there's 101 different ways. So I'm literally going to make a loop around my fingers like this. So this is my tail, and then whatever is beyond that is my working yarn. Wrap it around my fingers and make sure I have a cross somewhere, so that the yarn that I started with goes round, and then the yarn that I finish with is over the top of that yarn. I go under the first one, hook the second one, bring it through. Usually ends up in a bit of a mess. Pull both of these, the tail and the working yarn, pull them both, so you create the knot. And this is where the slip knot comes into action, because you use your working yarn, not the tail yarn, and you pull it to go around the hook. Okay, so for this yarn, this chunky yarn, I'm using a 6mm hook from Clover. You can use any hook you like. I started by using these metal hooks when I first started many moons ago with my crochet, and then I moved on to my Clover. So it doesn't matter what hooks you've got, you can just start. So how do we hold our yarn? So this is our working yarn, this is our tail. How do we hold our yarn and our work? So I like to hold my index finger up, and I like to hold the slip knot with my middle finger and my thumb. And as you can see, this working yarn comes around my finger and across my palm. And as when I started, I liked to curl my fingers over. And as I realized how much I was crocheting, this became a bit too uncomfortable. So I then weaved the yarn around my ring finger and then back over my baby finger like this. I don't loop it around fingers. I find that creates too much of a tight tension for me. So this is how I hold my yarn, woven through my fingers. And then I just hold these two together. I don't squeeze them together. They're just placed together because I find that's best for me. So then we're going to start making a chain, and when you look at a project you'll see YO, yarn over. And yarn over literally means that your yarn is going to be behind your hook and it's going to come over your hook. Now how do we know which part of the hook to concentrate on? Well, from here to here, that is the size of your hook, and for this I'm using a 6mm hook. So from here to here, I know that's 6mm. From here to the tip of the hook, it's tapered and it's got a point to it. This is to get it into holes, into chain spaces, and to where you need to anchor your stitches. And so to do that, it's narrower down here. So you don't want to be going, you don't want your yarn to be tight around here, because that will not be 6mm. This down here is 6mm. Now, with your hook, you're going to be twisting it a lot and moving your yarn up and down a lot. You're working this hook to its full potential of being a crochet hook. So for a yarn over, your hook starts facing up. So this bit faces up. Your yarn is behind your hook, and you're going to hook that yarn and turn it over so it faces down. Okay, you can bring it over, but you can hook it just as much like that. Okay, so your hook is facing down. Now we do that to mimic the shape of this loop. The you have a slight oval shape to the tip of your hook, and you have a teardrop shape to your yarn loop that is on your hook, and you're going to pull it through, and that is how you make a chain. So in crochet we have chains, and you can work in rows with chains, or you make a chain and you make a loop and then you work into that loop. So for this we are making a chain of 15, so that's 1. I'm going to hold on to that knot again, make sure I don't lose it. I'm going to yarn over, pull, twist my hook and pull it through the loop on the hook, and then push it down to the bottom where I'm holding it. So if it was a metal hook, I would push it down to about here, because I know that that's a good size. I don't want to go beyond because it's too wide. So we're holding there and we're using this part of the hook. Do it again. I'm going to hold that knot, going to hook my yarn it over, pull the hook down so the hook is facing down, and pull it through the chain, or the loop on my hook, to make a chain. Do it again. So that's 3. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, pull it through the loop on my hook and make a chain. Yarn over, turn my hook down, pull it through the chain, turn my hook, grab the yarn. So I've got a yarn over towards me, turn my hook so it's facing down, and pull it through for a chain. This loop on the hook doesn't count for anything. We never count it until we have pulled something through it to make a stitch or a chain. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm quite far away now if I keep holding on to that knot to make chains. So I'm going to move my fingers up to just below my hook. I'm holding onto the chain with my middle finger and my thumb again. I'm going to yarn over and pull through to make a chain. Yarn over, twist that hook to make a chain. Yarn over, do it again to make another chain, and move your fingers up. And again, we keep going. And then you will learn that when you crochet, because you're doing so much at once, you can't really count anymore. So there'll be a lot of counting. So 1, 2, I'm going to show you how we count our chains. So we have V's that make a chain here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. I need 13, 14 and 15. Now I want 15 stitches of single crochet to go along my row. And when you're working with the single crochet or the double crochet in UK terms, you need to have a chain of 1 to give you the height to turn. It's called your turning chain. So I'm going to add on 1 more chain, and I know that I need to put my stitch in the second chain from the hook. So what we have here is, this is your loop on your hook. Remember, that's nothing until you finished with it. This is your first chain from the hook, and this is your second chain from the hook, and I am going to go in there. What I want is this yarn here and this yarn here. I want it to be on the top of my hook. This will make sure that the chain doesn't stretch as you're working into it. Now with the single crochet, you're not going to yarn over before you put your hook in. You're going to put your hook in, you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull it through that hook. Now, what have we got on our hook? We have our loop that we started with that will become the top of our stitch. We have the yarn over loop that came through the chain to anchor it to the chain, and now we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through both of those loops, and that is 1 stitch, and we're going to move on to the next. Now normally I'd run my hook down the stitch and show you where I've been, but the stitch isn't long enough to see this. So you can see we've got quite a big gap. It's okay, the chain will be able to tighten as we go, and it will firm up. So I know that I've been in there to do a stitch, and we're doing 1 single crochet in each chain across the row. So I'm going into the next one, and you can see here we have a V, and we have this yarn piece coming along the bottom of our first stitch, and it goes into the hole that we want to go into. So we want to make sure that we go under that one like that, because it becomes the back bump of the next chain. I'm going to yarn over, pull that through to anchor it to the chain, and then I like to hold just where I went in on that chain so that nothing else really moves. I yarn over and I pull through the 2 loops on my hook, and then we find the next one. So I'm not going into that big hole there, I'm not going into this one here. I need that middle one, that middle yarn, to come with me so that I have 2 on the top of my hook. Yarn over, pull it through to anchor it to the chain so that the stitch has somewhere to sit. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through 2. So that's another single crochet. I'm going to go again all the way along. So going into that chain, pull this through, yarn over, pull it through 2, and that's a single crochet, or a double crochet if you like English terms. Keep going, and you'll notice just how much my left hand moves. So I'm helping it guide over. I know I've got my 2 bits of my chain on the top. I hook that yarn for a yarn over, and I pull it through the chain. I then bring it down the shaft of my hook so that I know that it's the right size, and then I pinch with my thumb and middle finger just below where the chain, I pinch the chain that it went into, yarn over, pull through 2, and then I bring this loop all the way down so I know it's the right size. And then I know I don't want this big hole, I don't want that one because it will make all the other chains a bit too tight. Hello kitty cat, I have a cat, everyone. And then we go in there, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, twist that hook down so that it can glide straight through. My next stitch I'm going to show you what happens if you don't twist it. So I know I don't want this hole, I don't want that hole because I need that one to come with me. So I've got 2 at the top and 1 at the bottom, straight in, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over. Now this is what happens if you do not twist your hook enough. You're going to pull it through, you're going to get stuck, and then you're going to get even more stuck, and you'll get frustrated. So remember, when you've yarned over, twist that hook to grab it and bring it down. Make sure it's facing towards the chain down here, and pull it through. And then that is how you make it seamless and easier to do. So I don't want this hole here, I don't want this one here. I want to make sure that I've got 2 strands of yarn over the top of my hook and 1 at the bottom. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and keep going until you get to the end. And there's another one. Go nice and slow. The first row of any crochet project is the worst. You're working into a chain and it's the slowest, tedious. You're counting all the time. You're making sure that you're going in the right spot. It can be hard to find. So just make sure that you're moving that hook. Oh, just dropped it. There we go. Moving that hook, twisting that hook down so it just glides straight through. And then the last chain you've got can sometimes be a little tighter because it's your first one. It's also got nothing else to kind of expand from. So just make sure you get both of those parts of the top of the chain. Yarn over and pull through. And then that is your first row. As you can see, mine's wanting to twist. It will straighten up as I work into it more and more. I can also try and just flatten it a little bit and it might work, but it's okay. This is fine. The first row of any crochet project might want to do this a couple of times. It's absolutely fine. As long as when you're working back into it, you keep it as straight as possible. As you hold it, you'll be fine. So we've done this part. We need to have a turning chain just like we had at the start, and that is a chain 1. So it's yarn over again, twist your hook down and bring it through the loop on your hook, and that is a chain. So we work from right to left on crochet. So to flip your work and to turn your work, you literally do that. You go, you flip it like a book page. I've already done my chain 1 and I know that I'm working into my stitches now. Remember, the loop on your hook doesn't mean anything until you've gone through it. Okay, this is my turning chain just here, and this is my first stitch. Now you'll see that with this yarn I have a nice gap here. I can see that gap really clearly. Let's get the blue hook. See that gap really clearly, and I can see a little bit of blue between those two, and that is where I'm going to be working my first stitch. And it's exactly the same as before. You're going to insert your hook into that stitch, you're going to grab your yarn and pull it through, and then you've got your loop on your hook that becomes the top of your stitch when you finish it. You've got the yarn over that you pulled through the stitch that anchors it to the stitch. You're going to yarn over and you're going to pull it through both of those. That is your first stitch of your second row. And now you know you've been in here to do a stitch because you can see these two coming out of it. You're going to jump over this little hump here and you're going to go straight into there. Okay, so straight in with your hook, yarn over, pull it through that stitch so that you anchor it to something. You yarn over and you pull it through too, and you just keep going. I'm not going to this one again, I've just been there. I'm going to jump over this into this hole. I've got the two parts of that stitch, yarn over, pull through to anchor it, yarn over and pull through too. And that is how you do a single crochet. Always remember to twist your hook down when you come through, like that. And you just keep going, making your single crochets all the way along. Remember to watch my left hand and how much I move it. So I've finished my stitch and I've come across and I kind of know that that's where I want to go. So I'm going to hold the part next to it. I've been in there, I'm going into this one, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through to anchor it, yarn over. I've let go, but I'm holding everything still with my index finger of my right hand. I'm going to pinch middle finger and thumb just below where that yarn over comes out of the stitch below. And yarn over and pull through both. I'm moving my fingers again, yarn, no yarning over, we're not doing a different stitch, we're doing single crochet. So no yarning over, straight into here, then yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over and pull through too. And then this is where you get to the end of the row, and it can be slightly confusing of where you end. So this is my second to last stitch here, and this one is my last stitch. So we do the second to last, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through too. Now this one, if you don't twist your work to see the end here, can you see? Let's put the blue hook in like that. You have your two parts to your stitch. You've got the front loop and the back loop. Perfect. Now, if I didn't turn it and I was just holding it, there is a risk that I could just put it in and I only have one part of that stitch on my hook. Because you've turned your work, this stitch can kind of angle down, and you need to make sure that you get both parts of that stitch on your hook or it will look uneven. So always make sure you've got that part. That's the second row. Chain one, turn your work and start again with your rows. There we go. And all the way across. Constantly moving both of my hands, constantly moving where I'm holding my crochet so that I can stabilize it and not make it too baggy. So if I was to hold over here and try and put a stitch into here, can you see how it's not having to use my other finger to get it in, put it through, and I automatically want to, can you see how much looser that is? It's just slightly taller and baggier. Whereas if you actually hold where you're working, it becomes neater, more consistent, and it's easier to do. Okay, so I'll go to the next end and just show you how to find that stitch that can get lost. Keep going. I'm doing my second to last now, just there. And then this one, remember, turn it so that you can make sure that you wiggle it and you get both of those on there. And then you do that. So that is the single crochet, or the double crochet if you like English terms. I'm still moving a little bit, but not as much. If I stretch this, because you're basically looping yarn around, it doesn't always want to sit where it's meant to. So giving it a bit of a rub and flattening it can sometimes help. The more I work on this, the better. And you can see from my blue sample that the more rows you do, the better it becomes. See how it's flattening out a bit now? There we go. As always, at the end of my video, I have a chart that will show you the difference between the American and English terms. It'll be up for a few seconds, so you're more than welcome to take a screenshot of it so you know what you're doing when you're looking at a pattern or somebody's describing a stitch. Goodbye.